Welcome to Often Pacing on Tab Radio, Racing and Sport. Tim Walker will be joined by Matt Young and Oliver Cownie as they delve into the form for today's Pinjarra harness meeting, as well as an early look at tomorrow's meeting at Gloucester Park. We are Often Pacing.
And we're about to be joined by Matt Young, and also Ollie is about to join us as well, across from the eastern states, to talk about today's meeting from Pinjarra and also look back at the meeting from Gloucester Park there on Friday night as well. Tim Walker's on leave this week. All right, let's join up with Matt Young, who's about to join us online to take a look back. And Matt, as I say, good morning to you. A wonderful weekend of harness racing.
Exactly right, Pete. Thank you very much, and a very good morning to you and everyone tuned in for this show of Often Pacing on this Monday morning. We've got an amazing week, as you mentioned, Pete, of harness racing action, and it was a culmination for the three-year-old fillies on Friday night with the performance of Madam Publisher, who was beautifully driven, beautifully drawn, and looked to be in a really striking position if things sort of fell her way. And they did. It was a great drive by Stewie McDonald, and he took out the WA Oaks on a horse that he trains and drives. A lot of supporters on track on Friday night, and a lot of fans of Stewie. He's one of the real genuine good guys in the industry, and it was really great to see. So before we welcome Ollie into the show, let's pick up the concluding stages of the feature, the Group 1 WA Oaks from Friday night.
Atlantic Gem's about to get to the outside now. Coming out three wide is Soho Honey Rider. Coming off the back, Waterloo headed by Lion Queen. Lion Queen is drawn to the lead from the stablemate. Out three wide, running on is Soho Honey Rider. 29.3 the next quarter. To the outside, Madam Publisher gets out for McDonald. Let's go with a really good run, and Sugar Delight drove up behind them. Around the turn, here's Madam Publisher. Coming after the leader, Soho Honey Rider, who hit the front from Lion Queen, but Madam Publisher went whoosh on the outside, has dashed away from them. Soho Honey Rider battles on really well. Atlantic Gem will get up for second, absolutely flying, but Madam Publisher has won brilliantly from Atlantic Gem. Lion Queen thought on well and got third from Soho Honey Rider.
That was the running of the Tab Touch WA Oaks on Friday night. Madam Publisher, a cruisy 7-metre victory. She went around at the starting odds of $13. Let's welcome in to the show Oli Cownie this morning. Ollie, very good morning to you.
Good morning, Matt. Good morning, Pete.
And Ollie, look, Friday night, we're doing the form for this race. You could just sense that if there was a chink in the armour for Waterloo, and there was going to be a horse that could come from back in the field, it was just the perfect draw when 10 was drawn out last Tuesday morning on the Sports Daily for the Tab Touch WA Oaks. Madam Publisher looked to be dangerous. She was really unlucky in the Dainty's Daughter, and she's been a horse that has improved so well throughout her three-year-old preparation, and Stewie McDonald's done a fantastic job. Was that the feeling that you got going into the race, that she could be driven as a sniper and be quite dangerous?
Definitely. A few people did manage to find her. Russell Betts flagged her as one of the smokies in the race, and I also saw that Brittany Graham, she also tipped it up on Twitter. So there were a few people out there that were able to give a good push, including yourself, that gave a good push to Madam Publisher at big odds. Obviously, that lead time played heavily into the race. 67 seconds, just probably a bit too fast there for Waterloo in the early stages, but it's fair to say she's not at her best at the moment. Atlantic Gem really didn't she catch the eye late. She powered into it, came from nowhere and flashed into an impressive second, and she's just in outstanding form at the moment. And I thought Lion Queen was really game in defeat there into third, sitting up on the speed.
It was a great race on the program as well. We saw the free-for-all take place. Still the show returned to the winners list, defeating Sangway Real by a half head, and El Capone finishing in third. We saw some really competitive racing throughout the night, but let's work in and have a look at the horses to follow. We've got a race coming up at 9:40, which we will be focusing on as well here this morning. But what were the horses that you think are the ones to take out of Friday night and put into the black book going forward, Ollie?
The first horse I thought was worth following was one that drew really poorly in race 3 in Star Casino. It was a race that probably in the early stages, the key was what Dominus Factum would do, and Dominus Factum handed up to Rockmeister, who was really game in defeat the week prior, and once Rockmeister got to the lead, he really just dominated the race, but Star Casino made a really strong run around the outside, and he battled on really well and wasn't beaten far by Dominus Factum, who had the really soft run there behind Rockmeister. The next horse I wanted to follow in this race, and I think you agree with this one, Matt, was in race 6, Vegas Strip. He probably wasn't quite at his absolute best for a few runs there, but his last couple of runs have just been outstanding. I thought he was really good there on Friday. He got back to last in the run on the outside in a race. There was a few nice horses going around, including the winner, Soho Firestone, who seems to be going extremely well at the moment. Vegas Strip did a really good effort, a really good job to get into fourth, beating 3 metres. I thought another horse to follow from Friday, one that will be really good to back in going forward in these stand starts. I think mostly a place, but Duty Bound took the lead in the early stages and then was taken on by the wild card, who ended up tiring in that race and dragged Duty Bound out of it. But once he got to the outside, he finished off really strongly there and was nearly able to nab Franco Mecca for third in that race. So I think going forward, given how well he steps from the stand, he's one to follow.
Star Casino, Vegas Strip and Duty Bound into the black book there for Ollie from Friday nights. And look, I'm going to go to the free-for-all for mine. Firstly, El Capone. He's a horse that he's better known as a sniper, but I thought his performance was really good the way he finished off from back in the field, and I thought he's going to derive plenty of benefit from that performance from Friday night. So I think he's one to follow going forward. We've got Vegas Strip, a horse I mentioned last week. I thought he was outstanding last week. He's one that I have been highly critical of in recent starts. As you mentioned, Ollie's not going as well as he probably has shown in the past, but I just think his run 2 starts ago was really good, and then Friday night he backed it up with another really solid performance. So love his performances, his last 2, and I think it just shows a strong indication that he's heading in the right direction. And I thought Zephyr was really good in a race where the track looked to be just a little bit off time-wise on Friday night, and I thought the mares really burnt the track up, 154.9, I think it was, for that race, and Zephyr got to the outside and really closed off beautifully. This backs up off of the start before, where she was driven aggressively in the middle stages and she performed so well on that occasion. So I think she's going at the top of her game as well. So Al Capone, Vegas Strip, so doubling down on Vegas Strip for me and you as well, Ollie, and Zephyr in the horses to follow. We've got 8 races at Pinjarra today. We've also got 10 races coming up tomorrow at Gloucester Park.
They are Often Pacing on Tab Radio, Racing and Sport.
There we go. Thank you, Rich. Thank you also, Pete, and welcome back to Often Pacing. We'll have those dividends coming up soon there from Mildura. 8 races to look at today, Ollie, at Pinjarra. We're looking at 3 races from you. Let's fire through them and find some winners.
The first one I thought was really nice odds in early betting was in race 1. I had Elegant Peak. This is a horse that broke the track record about a month ago now at this track over the 2,600 metres, which was really impressive. Came off the 50-metre handicap on that occasion and was able to win well. And in that race, she was also first up from a spell, has since run really well and was able to score a pretty impressive win last start at Gloucester Park when flying in the front and just running them off their legs. She looks well handicapped here off just 10 metres, so I thought she had great each-way prospects. I do respect that Uptown Lad will likely go a lot better in this race at his favourite track. He's got a fantastic record at Pinjarra, so he doesn't look the main danger, and there are a few horses that are going nicely, but I'm happy to be with Elegant Peak on an each-way basis in the first race.
Okay, on to race number 2.
The next race, race number 2, I think this is a race where Mad Monday likely gets his chance to lead and win, and I think that'll really suit Crunch the Numbers, who was first up from a spell last start, a pretty decent spell there, and was forced to do the work outside the leader and went around a $3 very short price runner in the race, and probably a little bit disappointing on that basis, but did do a lot of work. So I think the fact it was first up, did a lot of work, should be a lot fitter in this race. And I think given the really soft run on the leader's back, Crunch the Numbers should be right in the finish there. And I think is a horse with plenty of ability. So given that perfect run on the back of Mad Monday, I'd be surprised if it didn't figure in the top 4. And hopefully for us at odds, it can figure in the top 3 there for us.
And on the race 8?
On to race 8, yeah. I think this is a really good race, and it looks a battle in two really smart horses in this race. I'm Lightning Banner and Tualoo. They've both got really good credentials and have put in some nice performances. Tualoo was a really good run behind Alta Tribute recently, closing off strongly, and I'm Lightning Banner hasn't had a lot of luck in his last couple of starts, closing strongly late. He's got the draw advantage, but I'm happy to go with one on a 1x3 basis in this race. Cold Hard Cash returns from a spell and is a horse that's really capable, driven, sit sprint. So I think Cold Hard Cash, despite having likely the gate speed to hold up in the early stages, I think he can take a sit on the back of I'm Lightning Banner and can take the last shot at him there up the sprint lane. And if they've done too much work, the leaders, I think he can be a knockout hope, but I'm happy to play him on a 1x3 basis there.
Okay, so races 1, 2 and 8 for you. You are with the first race, Elegant Peak, the second race, Mad Monday, and then into the last, Cold Hard Cash on an each-way basis, who does look reasonably well placed. Look, my 3 races today, I'm going races 3, 5 and 6 into the third. I thought Jimmy Rox's 2 runs back from a spell had been really good. Look, Blaze Away looks incredibly hard to beat. There is some speed sort of underneath Blaze Away there with Lunetta, who was finishing off the preparation really strongly last time in, but he's first up. I thought Blaze Away probably finds the top. Rocks the World off the charts are both capable of making a dash at Blaze Away at some stage, but I just thought Jimmy Rocks could get into a really good position here, and this horse has come back really well, and I like the way that he closed off strongly last start. So I'm happy to be with him on an each-way basis in race number 3. In race number 5, I thought there was enough speed in the race. World Secret, our Lily Lou, Seagrass, Miss High Fashion's a rolling type. Our Sandy Shore, as we know, is also a horse that can do plenty of work. But I just thought with the smallish field, there's going to be enough speed in the race, which is going to really suit a horse like Our Lady Jen. She has been really good in her own right as well, but I thought this race just mapped perfectly for her, and enough speed, enough pressure, really going to suit her nicely. So race 5, number 8 for me in that event in Our Lady Jen, and was hoping that the early price would hold up enough, but race 6, number 3, Soho Seraphine's got blistering gate speed. I expect her to lead. This race just looks cherry ripe for her, and I think she'll be winning in race number 6. I thought the meeting was good today. Looking forward to that. But race 6, number 3, Soho Seraphine. Race 5, number 8, Our Lady Jen. And in race 3, sort of a 1x3 bet, as Ollie was mentioning. But this time for me, it's with Jimmy Rocks. That's to go along with Ollie's selections of Elegant Peak in the first, Mad Monday, and then in the last race, Cold Hard Cash. Having a look on the Tuesday meeting here, Ollie, we'll look at 2 races for you. Firstly, where do we see your first bet of the program?
My selections for the Tuesday meeting come up on the later part of the card, races 5 and race 9. In race 5, it's a really interesting little race, this one. 12 horses in it over the 2,500 metres. Should be a good race, I thought, for Let's Get Rockin'. This is the horse that was probably driven tough recently, and he didn't really appreciate that and probably wasn't finishing off his races as well as he can. But he came across to WA and he really impressed me in his first few runs, and his last run really suggested he was getting right back to his best. He was sat up for one run at them, and he closed on really strongly late. So over the 2,500, I can see there being a little bit of pressure in the early stages with Vintage Blue engaged, who generally likes to get forward in his races, and OK Boomer is the class runner, and he might also look to get forward in this class. So I was hoping there's enough pressure and Let's Get Rockin' can run over the top of them late in that race. And then on to race 9. There's a few really nice horses resuming in this race, but I'm going to go away from those horses. I thought Ma Beach Sam could get a really good setup here to run into the placings and potentially be a real knockout hope if the race is run ideally to suit. Running on empty is resuming, and he's a really smart horse, and I think he'll likely get the front off Ma Beach Sam, who's better driven for that sit sprint capability he's got. Holy Heck is he's a top horse, and he's resuming in race 2. So I think running on empty will likely be driven to beat Holy Hecker and Prince of Pain, who's racing well at the moment, and that'll likely give Ma Beach Sam the last shot at them, and he could be really decent each-way odds in that race, I thought. So I'm happy to go that way.
Okay, race 9, number 1, Ma Beach Sam on an each-way basis, and race 5, Let's Get Rockin'. Fully agree with you there, Ollie, with Let's Get Rockin' in race 5. That was one of my bets on the program. I thought this horse really closed off beautifully last start, and I thought it was a fantastic chance. So I was happy to be with Let's Get Rockin', hoping for a half-decent price just from a bit of a tricky draw. And there is a lot of talent in the field with Vintage Blue, Thompson Bay, OK Boomer, also horses like Hemwood Bay racing well, and Radasi's been in top form but goes up in grade. So it is a really fascinating race, but over the 2,500, I think that also plays into the hands of Let's Get Rockin', who on its last start was incredibly encouraging. The other bet for me is race 8, number 1, Follow My Stride. I thought this horse has had bad barrier draws. It was a really good run 2 starts ago. Last start it was just not run to suit, but there was a race back in late August where we saw Follow My Stride get a good draw, took the cover on the back of Champagne Everyone and ran second on that occasion. I think if this horse runs anywhere near she did 2 starts ago at Gloucester Park, then Follow My Stride becomes a really good place chance and a small winning chance in what is a pretty open sort of fillies and mares event. So it gets a good draw, and I'm expecting Follow My Stride to run a really good race. Race 8, number 1, on an each-way basis, sort of a 1x3, 1x4. And race 5, number 6, Let's Get Rockin', I marked as one of the better bets on the program. So hopefully the prices come up in our favour as well. Ollie, thank you very much for your time this morning. We do appreciate it, and we'll chat again to you next week. And many winners to you today at Pinjarra.
Thanks very much, Matt. You too.
There we have Oli Cownie joining us here on Off and Pacing, and we're about to be joined by Mitch Miller, who has got a lot of drives to work through today. So we'll welcome him into the broadcast now. Very good morning to you, Mitch.
Good morning, Matthew. How are you?
I'm very well, and you've got some nice drives today. We've just been sort of given the hurry along. We've got 7 minutes until our next race for coverage, so that's a minute per horse. We've got race number 2, Luna Miss, for Mark Norman. What are you expecting today from a good draw?
The draw is definitely a good thing, Matt. She will need to improve a fair bit, I think, before she becomes a winning prospect in a race like this. But it's the perfect draw for hopefully for her to learn a little bit more about the racing caper, and hopefully we can see her improve a little bit.
Third race, Soho Skyfall returns after a bit of a freshen up. He's got a bad draw over the mile. How is he ahead of his freshen up run?
He's always pretty good, Matt. He's just another one of the horses we've had a few health issues with, and he's just had a little bit of a treatment, but he seems to be all fit and healthy now. So from the draw, it looks pretty tough. We'll be relying on a bit of luck from out there, but we know that he's capable. But today just might not be his day.
Quick word on the other runner from the Kim Prentice stable in the race, Jimmy Rocks. I thought he's come back really well and looks like he could run a decent race here, just sneaking up behind them.
Yeah, I think so. He's a horse that he never runs a bad race. Consistent little follower. He doesn't really do much at home. He's an ultimate professional. So, I think the harder they go, the more he'll enjoy it with a nice trailing draw.
Agent Booth in race number 4. What indication can you give with this horse first up?
Not much. I'll probably just be guided off Johnny and Tracy when we get to the races today. But the form doesn't read up too well. But it's not an overly strong race, and I think these lightning lap races, you definitely just drive them as they unfold when you get out there.
Race number 5, our Lily Lou. She had a bit of a freshen up before her last run, and I thought the performance was full of merit. It's a similar sort of feel, but it looks to be a really competitive race. Is 2 going to be a good draw for you?
I think so, Matt. To quote Aidan DeCampo, she's got plenty of gate speed and she likes to use it. So, the one got crossed quite comfortably on Friday night. So, I think we'll have a good crack early. And she's a much better horse when she finds the rail. And like you said, it's a good competitive race. And there's a few horses with good form. So she's one of them, and I think she's another good place chance today.
Soho Seraphine looks really well placed, lightning lap, good barrier draw and good gate speed. Do you think this is a really good race for her?
I think so, Matt. Kim sort of picked this race out a couple of weeks ago, and we've just changed her work up a little bit at home to try and sharpen her up. And I think over the lap we'll let her run, and hopefully they have good luck running her down.
Ronald Scott returns for Shane Gabler in race number 7. First up for him. Trialled well, good draw. Sweet Lucifer obviously looks to be one of the big dangers in the race, but you've got the draw. Can you be able to lead and win this race?
I think that's probably his best chance. His trial was reasonable. He still pulled up a bit large from that, so no doubt Shane's put the work into him between the trial and today, and a lot of respect for Sweet Lucifer. It's Leanne's doing a terrific job of that horse, so I think that'll be pretty hard to beat. But I think out in front is probably our best chance.
And Jade's Fortune, do we see swoop down the outside and win?
Well, I think we're going to have to, Matt. We can't do much else from there. It's a really good quality field, and she's come up with barrier 12, so no doubt we'll be looking after her early and just maybe wait for next week.
Who's the best drive for you today? Who's going to win?
I don't think you get a price, but I'd be disappointed if Seraphine doesn't get the cash today, Matthew.
Yeah, no, I like that, Mitchell. I love that confidence from you. 7 drives, good luck today, and all the best going forward. Hopefully a few winners, hopefully more than one today for you.
Thank you, Matt.
There we have Mitch Miller joining us here on Off and Pacing. Peyton, that wraps up the show this morning. We thanks to Oli Cownie as always, and we have got a big show coming up next week with racing this Friday night from Gloucester Park. 10 races from Gloucester Park tomorrow. We will have a full preview on the Sports Daily tomorrow morning. But for now, we're about to head across to our next race for coverage, which is coming up very soon at about 2.5 minutes at the top of the hour, and that is from Warwick Farm. 3.40 about Victor. Number 4 is Indigo Star, $3.70. Pashira is at $3.40. Out to $10 about Hammett with Tim Clark, a replacement jockey in that race, if you haven't got that in your tab forms this morning or in any of your form guides there. That is Off and Pacing for this Tuesday morning. Thank you to Mitch, thank you to Wally, thank you to you, Pete, and also Brazer, who's panelling and working hard behind the scenes as well. And we'll see you again next week.
Chances are you're about to lose. For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelpline.org.au.